Hi everyone, my name is Angelica and I am here with Miss Karen Paris. She is a second grade teacher at Hawthorne Academy, and we're going to be talking to her today about her mindful meditation grant that she received from the foundation last school year.
Yes.
And so Karen, tell me a little bit about your grant.
Well, I had started doing some meditation on my own, and some of the people that I had talked to mentioned how they were able to use the meditation in the classroom. And so this is something that I felt strongly about and I wanted to introduce to my students. And so I looked online and I had talked to some colleagues, and there was a course offered online for students. And so the course cost $500, and so I applied for a grant. The grant was accepted, and so I took courses online for about 3 months. And so as I took the courses, they would instruct me on how to introduce it into my classroom. And so that's where I just took off with it and introduced it to my students last year.
So tell me how you implemented the techniques that you learned through what you learned through the coursework. When do you start with the students, or walk me through that?
When we first start this process, I talk to the children about how I want them to just become aware of their surroundings and become aware of their feelings and their thoughts. And so when we start Mindful Body, we just sit and talk, and I will just set a timer for about 2 minutes, and I'll just have them sit quietly. I will play music, or I will play sounds like maybe water, rain, and so just to get them comfortable in the silence. And so once they're comfortable in the silence, then I'll start to introduce, I want you to pay attention to different things as we're doing the mindful meditation. Sometimes I'll have them pay attention to sounds in the environment. And so what are they able to pick up on? And it's just basically becoming aware of what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you. And so as the children go through the process, they become more alert to their feelings. And then so we talked about how do you work through those feelings when you're experiencing them.
So what would you say the impact that the students have had through receiving this kind of instruction in your classroom?
Initially, when I started, it was very uncomfortable. And I told the children, it's okay to be uncomfortable because we're going to work through that. Right. And so as we worked through the process, when children were uncomfortable, we talked about why they were uncomfortable. And so then that also brought up things that were happening in our personal lives. And so I said, well, this is going to be a strategy for us to deal with that. We're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days. And so we had
and how do we learn to cope with that?
Exactly. And so initially some of the students would cry, and so it was okay. And I said, and that's all right, we're going to figure out how we're feeling and why we're feeling that. And so after a while, the students realized that this was a process that helped them, and they started to become calm and use it. And so then I talked about also, even when they're at home, to use this process. So I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're fine. Part of it is what I'm hearing from you is that skills here can be transferable into lifelong habits.
Of course. So that's my goal. That's right. My goal.
And so I know the district has a big push currently on social and emotional skills.
Yes.
Does that play into what it is that you're trying to get across to your students?
Yes, because I try to make sure that whatever we do here is going to be something that transfers when they go home. And so then I make sure that I talk to the parents also and let them know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Because I think that anything that you learn at school, you should be able to apply wherever you are. And just today when we were talking, one of my students said, I did Mindful Body last night when I was having trouble sleeping. And I said, yes, that's what I want.
Right.
I want you to be able to use this wherever you are.
So would you be able to kind of share with us a story, maybe if it applies, about a student that you saw maybe at the beginning of the year that was maybe a little anxious, a little shy, that through this process gained some confidence, or something around using what you've taught them that has applied to like their schoolwork?
One of the things that we talked about was one of my students, his parents were going through a divorce. And so as we would sit in the silence, it became very uncomfortable for him because he would constantly think about that struggle with his parents, and that made him sad. And so
as it would for anybody.
Yes, of course. And so I said, and I understand that. And I said, but if you just stick with me and let's just work through this together. So I'm not going to let you do it by yourself. I'm going to help you with this process. I said, but just stick with me and just try it. And so he's, he struggled a little bit. And I said, that's okay. We're always going to have problems and struggles, but this is something that I think is going to benefit you in the long run. And so eventually, as we continued with the process, he would come in immediately when I said, okay, time for mindful body. And he'd go to the carpet, get in his position, and I could just see it relax him. Mm-hmm. And after a while, we would have those discussions. How do you feel now as we do mindful body? And he said, it's helping me to calm down. It's helping me when I go to therapy, right. And so that was my goal, to get him through that process, because I saw him struggling with it. Absolutely. And so then I've had students who have experienced deaths in their families. And so when we would do mindful body, they would cry because they were missing that loved one. And I would say, that's okay. So let's see, how can we get you through that process? And so that was one of those ways that helped them with that.
So you started this program, or this kind of skill,
yes,
last year.
Yes.
So you're teaching now.
Yes.
How many students do you have?
I have 23.
And so as you continue to implement and work through this mindful body program, where do you see it going forward? How do you see it working out within like the longevity of you being here? Like, it will help them in the long run, right?
Yes.
I'm just wondering.
Well, I'm starting to see and hear, more of my colleagues wanting to try this with their students. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping that I can spread this through them, because the students that I had last year asked me, are you still doing mindful body? Because they miss it. They tell me, we miss it. We want to continue this. And so even though I had them for that short time, it made such an impact on them that they still remember it and they still do it on their own, even though they don't have someone guiding them.
Right.
And so that's my goal. How do I continue this process? So I'm hoping that when I do it with this class, they will spread it out to their family and friends and then their teachers. Absolutely. Because I'm having teachers approach me and say, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And how can we also tap into it?
Do you feel that you could have accomplished what you've accomplished, not just this year, but the year prior, without the support of the foundation?
No, because this foundation helped me to get the funding. I was like, I want to do it. And I just didn't at that time have the money up front. Mm-hmm. And so I said, well, let me see if I can tap into the foundation. Will they, be willing to help me with this? And so I was really thankful, that Judy saw, I approached her with, the grant, and, I'm thinking about this. This is something I really want to try, something I feel passionate about. And another colleague over at ALA, she was doing it. And so then I mentioned that to Judy, and she said, we know, what people are trying. And she supported me. And that was really important to me also. Absolutely. Because I think that it's important that you get the support of your colleagues, you get the support of the district to let you try these things. Mm-hmm. And and I love that y'all are coming over here and contacting me and saying, so what are you doing? Are you still doing it? Because I know that sometimes people will do things and then they don't follow through and they just let it go. But no, we're still doing it. And I was going to show you some stuff that we're doing here in the classroom. I don't know. I can't do it now, I guess, but I don't want to get up off the,
No, that's
but
okay.
I want, I'll just share with you some stuff that we're doing.
So maybe, can you walk us through a guided meditation real quick? And maybe not the whole thing, but like maybe how you set the tone for your class?
Well, I have a app on the phone that I'll just pull up. Okay. And so it's just mindful music for children. And then I have a timer that I also set. And when I initially start, we do it for about 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so then gradually I'll tell the students, okay, each 9 weeks or whatever, we'll increase it for, however minutes. So we'll play, the music. I know it's probably making a lot of noise. And so just to give you an idea of the music that we listen to, we'll turn off the light in the classroom and we'll sit along the edge of the carpet. And I start out by making sure that we're breathing together. So I'll tell them, the students, let's take 2 deep breaths in together. And exactly. I say we breathe in through our nose, out through our mouth. And so we just do that together. And so then that, sets the tone. Sometimes we'll put our hand on our chest. Sometimes we'll put our hand on our stomach. And I'll just want them to be in tune with how their body is feeling. And so then we'll play this real soft music. And sometimes I'll let them make a decision on what we listen to. But I don't know if this is going to pick up or not, but we'll see. Of course, my technology is not that on point. Of course, this is my life.
That's okay.
All right, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And so we'll sit, for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. And so we'll just sit and listening. And the children are real good about just sitting on the carpet. We'll close our eyes if you want to. You don't have to, but I just ask them to stay as still as possible and just sit. And
it also seems that it would help with your classroom management too, or no?
It does, because we're all in that same mind. We're all thinking about the same things, and so that we understand this is the reason why we're doing it. I always bring it back to, why are we doing it? And it's not that I want them to behave, but I want them to be aware of what they're feeling. Absolutely. And why they're feeling it.
That's
and
powerful.
so then we talk about, what you're feeling and why are you feeling that.
Right.
And so then how do we work through that?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my goal. And it does help, I guess, with discipline in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Well, Karen, thank you so much for talking us through that and kind of sharing your story. Also, just so that you know, and we'll share this in the comments later, is we're currently accepting applications for innovative grants. That deadline to submit your application is March 29th, and you have to attend an innovative grant workshop. One will be this Saturday at Epic Saturday, and the next one will be March 6th. So that information is on our website, so we will share that in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.